What is the dumbest brand name that somehow worked out for itself? When I was in middle school, I bought a cheap watch off AliExpress that looked like a nice luxury watch. A kid who was absurdly wealthy and actually wore expensive watches in middle school noticed my watch and said, "What brand is it?" Since I didn't even know what luxury watch brands were at the time, I just said, "Guess," hoping he'd guess a brand name, and then I could just say yes. But he responded, "Oh, guess. Nice. They have some nice watches." Smeg, let alone for the stuff you put your food in. I was choosing a new oven last year, and having narrowed it down to 2 models, I went for the Bosch oven purely so as not to have Smeg emblazoned across my kitchen. Huge bakery operation. One of the greatest tricks ever pulled was when someone somehow got America to accept the word cornhole in polite society. In the Netherlands, there is a famous and very big web shop for baby and children things called Baby Dump. No idea why they chose that name, but it seems to work out. Walkman is a classic case. I think the Sony execs initially wanted to call it Walkman, but the American marketers said, nope, that name makes no sense. And it doesn't if you think about it. And Janglish names never worked overseas. So they called it the Soundabout in the US, the Stowaway in the UK, the Freestyle in Australia. But foreigners would come to Japan and buy the Walkman without hesitation. The Japanese execs said, "Screw this," and renamed it Walkman worldwide. And it worked. This is definitely an interesting topic. It's always surprising to see how some brand names that might seem odd or unappealing end up becoming successful. I remember when I was in middle school, a friend of mine came up to me and asked about the cheap watch I got off AliExpress. He was used to luxury watches and thought my inexpensive one was from a well-known brand. When I said guess, hoping he'd guess a brand name, he actually thought it was a Guess watch and complimented it. It's funny how some brand names can sound strange but still work out. Have you ever come across a brand name that you thought was ridiculous but ended up being successful? Let me know in the comments down below, and let's move right into our next Reddit post. What gadget do you have that's worth less than $150, but you couldn't live without? Rice cooker. Easy to clean and use. The cheaper ones even work well if you don't want to spend a ton of money. Noise-canceling headphones are the sanctuary of sanity in the chaos of daily life. I'm deaf, so I have this built in for free, mate. Air fryer was $50, and I use it every day and sometimes multiple times a day. Forget microwaves, long live chicken wings. If you know, you know. Headphones. I could live like Jack Reacher, only having a toothbrush and going from one place to another, but music fills my empty moments. My sunrise alarm. I was chronically late to work. I'd even get extra sleep and still wake up late and was always stressed in the morning. I added this alarm that turns a light on and slowly ups the brightness for a set time period until your wake-up time, and then plays light music. I've been able to get rid of all of my alarms except this one, and I wake up gently to moderate light 15 minutes before my planned wake-up time. I feel calmer in the morning and don't have to rush. It has made such a huge difference in my life. Dehumidifier, vital in a UK home where damp thrives. A drill, used it all the time. This is really interesting. People have some really unique and specific gadgets that they love. I never thought about how much a simple gadget like a rice cooker or a dehumidifier could make such a big impact on someone's life. And the idea of a sunrise alarm sounds amazing. I can imagine how much of a difference it could make in someone's morning routine. It's so cool to see the creative and innovative ways that people have found to improve their daily lives with small, affordable gadgets. Have you ever had a similar experience where a small, inexpensive gadget made a big difference in your daily routine? If so, what was the gadget and how did it change things for you? Let me know in the comments down below, and let's move right into our next Reddit post. What's the dumbest beauty standard you've ever heard of? No S mother-in-law E-lines? Back in the day, we were told we were prettier if we smiled, and now it's ugly? Oh, I was just mentioning that under another comment. At 24, I'm starting to have smile lines, and I got told not to smile too much. Sorry for being happy, I guess. It's bizarre. What do you find sexy in women? Broken feet. Every once in a while, there will be some dumb viral challenge on Chinese social media to prove how skinny you are. One time it was the earbuds challenge, where you have to be able to wear wired earbuds like a belt. Another time, it was the A4 challenge, where you have to hold a sheet of paper in front of your stomach and your waist has to be smaller than that. There's one where you have to stick things in the groove of your collarbone. When I'm in Asia, I always feel like a whale, and I have to shop at the big stores. I'm a size 6 for reference. Well, I know for some situations it's a godsend that this is available, but generally it's currently fashionable and considered beautiful to get veneers on healthy teeth. The process of shaving down natural healthy teeth to glue prettier teeth on is strange. Like, I have one. My tooth broke, they cut it down and fitted it with a veneer. It was to fix a problem. But now, because that happened, I know the new tooth is not as strong. They break, they fall off, they are weaker, and the real tooth underneath has been compromised. Its nerve is not as protected, it can't handle temperature as well, it is less strong. To do this to every tooth, when they look fine anyway, just so they look perfect, it's shocking. It's also so painful to do it. And if you don't have a real artist doing it, they could mess up and make it look like you are wearing dentures. And really, you are not. Men who say body hair is unhygienic and don't shave their own pits. White people want to be tanned, people with high skin pigmentation want to be pale. It's completely idiotic how we each want what the other has. Hip dips, the obsession to not have them. The comments about dumb beauty standards are really interesting and thought-provoking. It's crazy how beauty standards vary from culture to culture and can be so harmful and unrealistic. For example, the pressure to have a certain body shape or to modify natural teeth for the sake of appearance seems both bizarre and concerning. It's sad to see how these unrealistic beauty standards can lead to harmful practices and unnecessary struggles. It's also ridiculous how people dictate what is considered attractive based on arbitrary factors like skin color or body hair. And the notion that smiling can somehow make a person less attractive is just absurd. It's really eye-opening to hear about these examples of dumb beauty standards and the impact they can have on individuals. What's your opinion on the beauty standards mentioned? Have you ever felt pressured to conform to any of these unrealistic standards? Let me know in the comments down below, and let's move right into our next Reddit post. People who have had an "I'm going to marry this person" instinct. What happened? The first time I saw my wife some 20 plus years ago in high school, I said, "I'm going to marry that girl." I did, and we have been married for 20 years, together for 24. We have 3 kids, a mortgage, etc. There are no deal-breaking complaints. It does take effort, communication, and compromise. The first thing I said to her was, "Good morning, beautiful," as I held the door for her at school, to which she retorted, "Fuck you, Shoal." That really sealed the deal for me. I had to make her my wife. "Good morning, beautiful," I said as I held the door for her at school. She quickly replied, "Fuck you, asshole." That moment solidified my determination to make her my wife. Have you considered turning your story into an adaptation of The Taming of the Shrew? My dad went to a basketball game in 1963. He saw one of the cheerleaders that he thought was cute, turned to his buddy and said, "I'm going to marry that girl." This March will be their 54th anniversary. We dated for 2 years, decided we were too young to marry, dated for another 8 years, got married, and 15 years later, he got arrested for child pornography, and we're in the process of getting a divorce. Obviously, I would not have married him if I knew he was into kids. I look extremely young for my age, and now I'll always have to wonder if he actually loved me or if he was just with me for money and because I look very young. I guess the moral of the story is to wear sunscreen every day so you too can attract and marry a pedophile. She was a friend of a friend coming to my apartment for the housewarming. I knew the very first moment when I opened the door and saw her that I was going to marry her. We had never met before. We dated for 6 years and then got married. We divorced after about 15 years of marriage. Ah, this made me so happy. Then boom, divorce. I experienced love at first sight once. That was decades ago now, but I still think about her frequently. I've never met another woman I connect with as naturally as we did. I feel like we missed the mark, should have ended up together, but life just got in the way and we ended up drifting apart. I hope she's super happy though. He is stealing the carrots off my plate right now. Had that instinct twice, married and later divorced both of them. If I get that feeling again, I'm going no contact. I remember coming home and telling my mom I'm going to marry her. And then I dated her so hard and married her. That was like 15 years ago, and she's next to me watching Bob's Burgers. This thread is a mixture of interesting, exciting, and sad stories of people who had a strong initial instinct to marry someone. Oh my goodness, the story about the person holding the door for the girl at school and her reaction sealed the deal is just so funny and heartwarming. And the other story about the dad going to a basketball game and declaring he would marry the cheerleader he saw and then actually being married for 54 years is just beautiful. It's amazing how love stories can come from such unexpected moments. It's also so sad to hear about the people who had the instinct to marry someone and then ended up divorced. I can't even imagine how devastating that must be after having such a strong initial feeling. What's your take on these stories? Do you believe in the idea of having an instinct about marrying someone at first sight? Have you ever had a similar experience? Well, that's another episode of Ask Reddit in the books. I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.